Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Mark Keller. We are glad you're with us today. Another Groundhog Day has come and gone, and our pal Punxsutawney Phil did not see his shadow this year, declaring an early spring is on the way. Well, I mean, if 60-degree temperatures weren't enough of a sign of spring coming, we have had Dan Kaufman make 3 straight appearances talking about indoor track. That's as sure a signal as you can get the spring is on the way. Well, no Dan Kaufman today, but we do have 3 Herald Mail insiders with us to talk about the week that was in Washington County sports. As usual, Kevin Dunleavy starts us off with a look at boys basketball and some big injury news this week as the top team in Washington County loses its top player. We'll talk about how Williamsport will finish out the season without the services of Lincoln Ball. Bob Parcelletti steps in to discuss girls basketball, a big game in the private school ranks this week as St. James and St. Maria Goretti square off on Friday. Bob gives us a sneak peek at that matchup and more. And then Andy Mason closes us out on the mats. Williamsport suffered a tough loss last week, which could set up an inter-county match in the region duels. We're ready to roll, and Kevin starts us off when Inside Sports returns right after this.
Cynthia Moeller-Sullivan of Sullivan Select Real Estate has been recognized by Homelight in 3 categories: Top Overall Producer, Top Seller's Agent, and Top Agent that sells for more. Unlike other real estate venues, agents cannot pay to be recognized by Homelight. If you are considering the sale of your home, call Cynthia for a free market analysis, 301-988-5115. When it comes to real estate, select the best with Sullivan Select.
If you have children entering kindergarten in the near future, help them get off to a great start. Pre-K is one of the most effective ways to prepare children to enter kindergarten ready to succeed. At home, parents can help support their child's development through reading, counting, exploring, and playing. Like you, we know a child's early years lay the foundation for all that is to come. Kindergarten readiness matters. Find out more at ontrackwc.org. Learn today, succeed tomorrow. Brought to you by OnTrack Washington County and Antietam Broadband.
Thank you for seeing us so quickly. He's just unbearable when he's sick.
I'm glad that you came right into Meritus Urgent Care.
We have just what you need to feel better faster, young bear.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Meritus Urgent Care is located off Moggins Avenue on Creighton Boulevard. For more information, visit meritushealth.com/urgent care.
Welcome back to Inside Sports, starting things off today with some boys basketball. Herald Mail insider Kevin Dunleavy joins us. And Kevin, we tend to talk a lot about the games themselves in these segments, but the big news today came from inside one of those games, and that's an injury to Lincoln Ball, Williamsport's star player, most likely done for the season.
Yeah, a really devastating loss, and the timing is really bad because it's not that serious of an injury. It's something that'll heal and between 6 and 12 weeks. But if this had happened much earlier in the year, maybe he'd be able to play in the playoffs and stuff. But the team was really gelling. Things were really looking like they were on track to finally get to the University of Maryland, and now it's really going to be tough. Although there's still plenty of hope. They're a 14-2 team, and they've got young guys that are really developing quickly. And Caleb Bowers is having his best year he's ever had.
Now, there was some optimism early on. Thought maybe it was just an ankle sprain or something along those lines, but that optimism kind of changed over the weekend. I guess on Sunday they realized maybe it was something worse.
Yeah, they thought it was originally a sprain, and maybe Lincoln was telling Ryan Grable that he'd probably be back. He'd probably miss one game and be back Friday. But as the weekend went on, the pain got worse, and then on Sunday they realized the pain was not in his ankle; it was in his foot, and that's when it became obvious that they needed an X-ray, and then that was determined that he had a break. So it was and now surgery is needed. Sometimes you don't need surgery with a break, and you can rehab and get back on the floor in a few weeks. But this requires surgery, and it's the best thing for his future too. He's going to be playing at GW, and he supposedly the rehab he'll be ready to go in the summer semester when he arrives at GW. So that's probably the best course of action right now.
It's hard to really understate the impact that this will have on the Williamsport team. You mentioned here a week or so ago about if you're choosing Player of the Year at this point, Lincoln Ball is kind of a runaway with that award at this point. So losing someone like that, a Division I player on this team, really kind of the floor general, if you will, for the Wildcats team. Hard to understate how big an impact this is going to have on them.
Yeah, Ryan Grable said yesterday he cleans up so many things for us, even beyond the stats. He does so many little things that he takes care of because he's such a veteran. He's played 91 varsity games, and he knows what to do. And Ryan said he's become more of a rebounder and an outlet passer, playing the Wes Unseld role because that's the best way to get the other guys in transition. And he's usually been the guy in transition, so he's evolved his game with what the team's needed throughout his career, and they're not going to have that now. They still have some really good players that'll be on the floor, but it's going to be difficult to replace a guy that does literally everything for them.
And not just the talent, but I'm assuming as well the leadership, because he is, as you said, kind of that floor general out there, and saw a lot of reaction on social media, kind of stating that point as well, the respect that he's earned over the last couple of years here in Williamsport.
Yeah, the people in the community just love this kid, and for good reason. I probably watched 35 to 40 games over his career. I've never seen him do anything, fit of anger, do anything that reflects negatively on himself or the team. And he's just a dream. You talk to him after the game, he's got instant analysis. He's really smart. He's really humble. He's everything that you'd want to have in a player. And Ryan Grable was crushed, almost more so just for Lincoln than he was for the team prospects going forward. That kid has meant so much to him throughout their association, which has been 7 years.
I certainly wish the best to Lincoln and a speedy recovery from this injury going forward. Let's talk about the other big event that happened in Washington County this past weekend, the St. James Invitational Tournament, and great turnout as always down there, and they got quite a show from Montverde Academy.
Yeah, it's hard to overstate how good that team is. It's 5 Division I players, high Division I, major college teams that Oklahoma State, Arkansas, Florida State, UNC, and Michigan are the starting lineup. And then the rest of the guys that came off the bench will be Division I players as well. And so much talent. But the most impressive thing to me was not the talent, was how hard they played. They would press on every possession, and even if they got beat on the press, they would get back quick enough to still disrupt the offense. So it was so impressive, the discipline that they showed in addition to the talent. Tim Kelby, after the final game, wrote his story and suggested that maybe it's the best high school team ever. And normally you'd say that's kind of a overstatement, but if you saw them, you wouldn't. It was right on point. It's a fair assumption. I've seen teams. A lot of DeMatha teams covering games in the D.C. area, teams that were nationally ranked, and the best team I've seen.
Yeah, good. 67-46 win over IMG Academy in the final game, and certainly something to be said for them being one of the top teams of all time when it comes to high school boys basketball. Let's talk about Boonesboro, and this is a team. In your notes that you gave me, you said sort of a weirdly satisfying year for Boonesboro. I'm going to let you expand on that and explain that. Sitting at 9-7 right now, we've talked about them. They're not usually in a situation where they have that many wins in a season.
Well, last week was a perfect example of what they've had this year. They lose to Brunswick early in the year, and that snapped a 12-game losing streak that Brunswick had. And then they come back the next day or 2 days later and beat Catoctin, the team that had won 5 of 6 coming in and had upset Williamsport the previous week. So, what they're getting is 2 sophomores that are really kind of clicking. They were freshmen on the varsity last year as reserves, and they looked a little skittish, like they didn't know what they're doing, but it all is coming together now. And Bryson Buana, he had a career-high 13 against Catoctin, and that wasn't flukish because he's been scoring well and contributing a lot. And then the guy that really makes them go, I think, Justin Osmond, another sophomore, he had his career high as well, 18 points. And there's a lot that he does for the team that doesn't show up in the stats. Coach Dinnerman is constantly reminding me of his contributions and how much he means to the team.
Let's talk about a couple big games coming up, some interesting games coming up in the next few days. St. James at Goretti. Goretti, all of a sudden, we talked about their struggles. They've won 5 straight games now.
Well, they haven't won 5. They've won 5 straight in the in this series.
Oh, in the St. James
So they've
series,
beaten
okay.
St. James 5 straight times, but they're playing better. St. James is really struggling, having a rough year. They just snapped a 9-game losing streak when they beat Scotland in the St. James Invitational. But there's some really good individual matchups in this game. Matt Rogers will be going up against Martinez Sabalauskas, the top scorer in the county, and a real good backcourt matchup with Berke Sertcan going against Goretti's Briggs McLean, who really does everything well for them.
Okay, Kevin Dunleavy, thanks a bunch. Stay with us. Bob Parcelletti's up next with girls basketball.
Hello, my name is Jim Gross, and I'm very involved in our local sports community, as you may have seen me on the volleyball court, the wrestling mat, or the softball field officiating sports. I'm also the broker and owner of Absolute Real Estate, as I've been making it easy for over 20 years in Washington County for people to buy and sell homes. Call me, Jim Gross, at 301-788-7888 for absolutely the best in savings and service, and ask me about my sports organization donation program.
Access to high-speed internet is critical for school-aged children. Since 2014, Antietam Broadband and Washington County Public Schools have partnered to connect students and families in need with low-cost, high-speed internet service at home. Every child deserves an opportunity to succeed. Ask your child's teacher for more information on the Antietam EduNet program. A message from Washington County Public Schools and Antietam Broadband.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Herald Mail insider Bob Parcelletti joins me now to talk girls basketball. Bob, a big game coming up here on Friday. St. James at St. Maria Goretti, and this is a big matchup between really kind of two of the best teams in Washington County right now.
Yeah, it's a team. I think it's a bit of a contrast type game because St. James has these 4 players that they, are Division I, they say, and 3 of them are already committed to schools. And then you have the St. Maria Goretti team, and they just have some depth, I mean, they're probably not as, say, accomplished as far as the signing to go anywhere, but they all come out and they all play, they all contribute, and it makes it kind of an interesting game because, I mean, I don't think St. James is as deep as Goretti is, and I think that's what the difference is going to be, the star power against the depth.
Yeah, a real solid starting 5 for the Gales, and 2 young kids. You're seeing significant time and really contributing off the bench as well.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton Kirshner is their outside shooter. She went over 1,000 this year. She's only a junior. You got Kyria Stubbs, who's basically leading him, or one of the leaders in all the categories in points. She's our leading scorer by like a half point over Kirshner. She's up there in rebounds, she's up there in assists, and she's up there in steals. They have Paige Demery, who sometimes comes off the bench, but she's like does a little bit of everything. She's that person that is the glue that if you need a pass, she'll get it to you. If you need a rebound, she'll get it for you. She's pretty high on the rebounding. McKenna Rife is their inside player. She's got some size to her. Then another one is Aaliyah John Jacques. She's a young kid, but she's really good around the boards. And like her sister was, she's really good around the boards. And then you have Camila Zanayich, who's their assist person. She's the ball handler. She, gets it to the right person. So that could be, how they attack St. James, and maybe if they can get them in some foul trouble, this could make this game go either way very quickly.
Like I said, easily 2 of the top 2 private school teams in Washington County, and right there along with Smithsburg among the very best in the county overall. Let's talk about another team that having a good season, but they've had some injuries to deal with as well, and that's Williamsport High School. And speaking of Smithsburg, one of those injuries came in the Wildcats' loss to the Leopards just a few days back, and that was to Bryson Ostrom.
Yeah, it's, I think Williamsport might be renamed Wounded Knee. Over the last 4 or 5 years, they've had like they've had about 5 girls go down with knee injuries. Early on, I mean, it was just knee injuries that took kids out completely. This year, they lost 2 before the season started. One of them was Olivia Fry, who was supposed to be a sophomore that they were really interested in seeing play. And then now the Ostrom injury, and she's been coming along for them. She's like she's that glue player, you know. I mean, she gives them the other outside shooter. She throws the pass, you know. The only thing she really doesn't do is she doesn't rebound hard. But I mean, otherwise than that, she was doing a little bit of everything. And it gave a lot of balance to Williamsport. And now I think they're going to have to, you know, cut and paste and all this stuff because they get one-sided. They have to go inside. It's going back to the old Williamsport way of playing.
You mentioned not just this season, but they've had these injuries over the last couple years as well. Taylor Neff and Sydney Hawkins-Smith as well. And kind of a funny thing, a Herald Mail story here recently, a student standout story about Jordan Yakel, a player on this Williamsport team, has decided to go into sports medicine based on all these injuries that Williamsport has had.
Yeah, and well, everybody's got to know the trainer, I think. But yeah, it's kind of a strange situation because I mean it's not like they're, you know, hitting tackling dummies or anything like that. And a lot of times, a few of the times I know when talking to Kevin Murphy, it's been like in a non-contact situation. It's been planting a pivot, you know, to go somewhere else, or, you know, and it's almost like the knee was wearing out and it was just waiting for the right hit to do something. So I mean, it's hard to say, but it seems to affect Kevin and his team.
I guess one bright spot, at least in the injury to Ostrom, was only a strained ACL and not a tear. Also a bad bone bruise as well.
Yeah, but she's going to be equipped with a brace, I understand, from now on.
So the loss, and this is the odd thing is that these injuries are not limited to Williamsport's girls teams. You know, we had Kevin in the previous segment talking about the injury to Lincoln Ball, and Andy Mason coming up here in the wrestling segment. The wrestling team has had some injuries as well in Williamsport, and just one of those odd things, almost like a Maryland Terrapins quarterback situation there in Williamsport.
Yeah, or the Yankees this year in baseball.
Just an odd situation. Well, let's talk about the impact, though, that Ostrom, you mentioned her being out of the lineup and what that's done to, you know, how that's affected Williamsport and Coach Kevin Murphy and how he sort of had to change his style here.
Well, when she was there at the beginning of the year, he had talked about that they were always looked to go to the inside and work their way out. And now they were able to go outside and work their way in because the ability to have 2 shooters, because Julia Bowman is the other outside shooter, and she usually shoots from the right-hand side of the floor. Well, Ostrom used to shoot from the left side, so that would stretch things out. And that would bring defenses up, and then all of a sudden they'd have Jordan Yakel down there on the box, or Chloe Bittner down on the box, and they'd feed them, and they'd have an easier, you know, it's not as crowded out down there, you know, because you're kind of yo-yoing the defense back and forth on them. And now, you know, if defenses play them, they can kind of fall to the inside and load up to the right side of the floor to try to eliminate Bowman outside shooting, and it makes it a lot tougher for them. And I think with Ostrom, they were able to make it so that they added some space on the inside of zone defenses.
You know, one thing about the Wildcats, a young team, so kind of taking this hit this year, and it's still kind of a bright future for them as well.
Yeah, they have you know, a lot of kids coming back, you know, and I mean, that was the thing about last year when it was growing pains. Now it's kind of, I guess, adolescence. And then, you know, they'll go from there. They'll lose a couple of players, but they have a lot of them coming back.
Okay, Bob, thanks a bunch. Appreciate it. Stay with us. We'll have Andy Mason coming up to talk wrestling right after this.
Cynthia Muller-Sullivan of Sullivan Select Real Estate has been recognized by Homelight in 3 categories: top overall producer, top seller's agent, and top agent that sells for more. Unlike other real estate venues, agents cannot pay to be recognized by Homelight. If you are considering the sale of your home, call Cynthia for a free market analysis, 301-988-5115. When it comes to real estate, select the best with Sullivan Select.
Introducing Antietam Smart Wi-Fi, the ultimate home networking solution. Smart Wi-Fi expands your wireless network and can eliminate Wi-Fi dead zones. Adding Smart Wi-Fi access points creates a Wi-Fi blanket for all of your devices, so you get consistent wireless internet speeds anywhere in your house. So go ahead and browse, game, and stream video in any room. Make the most of your internet with Smart Wi-Fi from Antietam Broadband. Smart homes deserve smart Wi-Fi.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. Herald Mail sports editor Andy Mason joins me now to talk high school wrestling. Andy, big match for Williamsport last week against Southern Garrett. Didn't quite turn out the way Williamsport had hoped.
No, Williamsport faced Southern Garrett in December at the Musselman Duels, beat them 38-30. They wrestled them again last Friday night. They were down 4 guys. They were missing 4 guys who they had in their lineup in December, and they lost 41-33. And they're going to see him again next week at Region Duels. But this Friday night's match was big because it determined who was going to get the top seed for Region Duels, and the top seed gets to host. So it was all about that long bus ride. So now Williamsport's going to have to spend, make a 5-hour round trip to Southern Garrett, and that's their penalty for losing that match. But out of they were missing, like I said, 4 guys from December, but 2 of those guys, Will Kuster and Skylar Sauer, they should have back. In fact, Sauer's back already. Monday night, he was in the lineup against Walkersville and got a win at 195 pounds. So they should be a little stronger and should be a toss-up next week. But they're going to have to go to Southern Garrett to do it.
So let's talk about the region duels, and now all of a sudden you mentioned kind of a likely scenario here that we could have an intra-county matchup in the first round of the region
Yeah, the way
duels.
it's looking right now, this is almost sure to happen. Southern Garrett's going to be the top seed, and they will likely be wrestling Northern Garrett, the 4th seed, in the first round. And the other first round matchup is going to be Boonesboro now should move up to number 2, and they will wrestle number 3 Williamsport. And the winner of that, Boonesboro and Williamsport are going to wrestle. That should be a good match, and the winner of that will face Southern Garrett for the region title. Neither Boonesboro nor Williamsport's ever won a region wrestling title, which is especially surprising if you think of all the success Williamsport's had over the years. They've never been to state duels, and they have a chance. They have a real good chance this year. Southern Garrett, they're the two-time defending 1A state champs. They'll be ready to wrestle in their home gym next week.
Boonesboro and Williamsport have faced each other once this year already, and then Williamsport won that one, correct?
Yeah, that was the season opener. They have the annual season opening tri-meet each year. It's Boonesboro, Williamsport, and South. Williamsport always goes 2-0. They did this year, but I believe the score of Boonesboro was pretty tight, 43-29. And again, Williamsport is down a few guys that they had in that season opener, so that could be even tighter this week. Boonesboro definitely has a shot.
Let's look at the 3A region duels, and North Hagerstown looking to be in the mix there in 3A West.
North should get in as either a 3 or a 4. I think right now they're sitting in 4th place. They could move up to 3. I think they're going to get in. However, if they get in as the 4, they're going to have to wrestle Damascus. Damascus looks like it has the top seed wrapped up, and so they'll be hosting 3A West duels. Damascus has won 7 straight dual meet state championships. They're a little bit down this year, but they're still good enough to get the top seed. They're still a very strong team. No one ever wants to wrestle them. If Williamsport moves up to number 3, they'll get Linganore first. And Linganore last year was 3A state runner-up. They're very good again this year. They beat North 47-29 earlier this year. So either way, the Hubs are going to have a real tough first-round matchup.
Let's look at St. James, and again, kind of a good season for them going on, winning the Mid-Atlantic Conference dual meet championships. Things are going well for the Saints.
Yeah, so 2 weeks ago they won the dual meet championship. So the MAC, there are 2 championships. They have the dual meet championship and they have the individual tournament. And so 2 weeks ago, St. James went 4-0 at the MAC duels, won that conference title, and then they completed the sweep for the 3rd straight year by winning the individual tournament last week at Georgetown Day. So that's 3 straight years of sweeping that conference. So they're the kings of the MAC. And next week, Valentine's Day weekend, 14th, 15th, they'll be at Hartford Community College, where they will attempt to defend their Maryland Independent School B Division state title, which is basically the small school state title. And they've won that 2 of the last 3 years.
Okay, well, good luck to the Saints in that tournament. Speaking of tournaments, it's almost that time here for the public schools as well. Got the Washington County tournament coming up here soon. Give us kind of the rundown on tournament season here. What do we have coming up?
Okay, once the dual meet season's out of the way, then it's February 22nd at Smithsburg. We have the Washington County tournament, and then the next weekend are the region tournaments. 4A, 3A West, where North and South Hagerstown are. That will be 2 days at Clarksburg High School, the 28th and 29th, and 2A, 1A West is 1 day, February 29th at Garrett Community College. And then that all leads up to the grand finale, the Maryland State Championships, which are March 5th, 6th at the Showplace Arena in Upper Marlboro.
Okay, always a fun time of year for wrestling once you get into tournament season. We'll have Andy back in a couple times, I'm sure, during that to give us the wrap up on that. Andy, thanks a bunch, appreciate it. Stay with us, we'll wrap things up for this episode of Inside Sports right after this.
Introducing Antietam Smart Wi-Fi, the ultimate home networking solution. Smart Wi-Fi expands your wireless network and can eliminate Wi-Fi dead zones. Adding Smart Wi-Fi access points creates a Wi-Fi blanket for all of your devices, so you get consistent wireless internet speeds anywhere in your house. So go ahead and browse, game, and stream video in any room. Make the most of your internet with Smart Wi-Fi from Antietam Broadband. Smart homes deserve smart Wi-Fi.
Thank you for seeing us so quickly. He's just unbearable when he's sick.
I'm glad that you came right into Meritus Urgent Care.
We have just what you need to feel better faster, young bear.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Meritus Urgent Care is located off Moggins Avenue on Creighton Boulevard. For more information, visit meritushealth.com/urgent care.
Hello, my name is Jim Gross, and I'm very involved in our local sports community, as you may have seen me on the volleyball court, the wrestling mat, or the softball field officiating sports. I'm also the broker and owner of Absolute Real Estate, as I've been making it easy for over 20 years in Washington County for people to buy and sell homes. Call me, Jim Gross, at 301-788-7888 for absolutely the best in savings and service, and ask me about my sports organization donation program.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. A couple other notable events over the last week to tell you about. It was a big day for the Smithsburg indoor track teams at the Class 1A West regional meet at Hagerstown Community College on Saturday, winning the boys team title with a strong finish to edge Catoctin and finishing second in the girls team standings. Clear Springs girls finished 4th and the boys were 7th in the overall standings. Hancock's girls were 7th and the boys finished 9th. In the 2A West meet, also at HCC on Saturday, Williamsport's boys finished 6th and Boonesboro was 11th, while on the girls' side, Boonesboro finished 9th and Williamsport was 12th. North and South Hagerstown competed in the Class 3A West meet on Thursday, and that sets the table for the state meets on Monday and Tuesday, February 17th and 18th. We'll have Dan Kaufman here next week to take a closer look at the region meets and look ahead to the state finals. In case you missed it on Monday, we had live high school hockey action here on WCL-TV. The Washington County North Stars played their final home game of the regular season against the Middletown Valley Knights, a team they had beaten 13-0 in their first meeting of the season. The Knights spoiled the North Stars senior night by playing to a 3-3 tie. Middletown goalie Luke Hood, who didn't play in the first meeting, was the difference in this one, making 45 saves on the night. Graydon Joyce was the only North Star to beat Hood, scoring all 3 goals for the home team. One more regular season game for the North Stars on Friday before they start the postseason at home Monday as the number 2 seed in the Monocacy Valley Division. If you missed the game Monday, we have you covered. You can see replays Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. right here on WCL-TV channels 806 and 6. Also have one more basketball broadcast for you this season on Tuesday, February 18th. It's boys basketball again as North Hagerstown goes on the road to face the Boonesboro Warriors. Barry Brown will join me once again for the call. You can see that game also on channels 806 and 6. View the live stream on the web by going to www.myactv.net and clicking on the Live Events tab, or by downloading the WCL-TV On-the-Go app for your mobile phone or tablet. That app is available for iOS or Android operating systems. And don't forget to look us up on social media. On Twitter, we are at Inside Sports OL. On Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat, it's at Inside Sports Now. That's all for Inside Sports this week. My thanks to Kevin Dunleavy, Bob Parcelletti, and Andy Mason for being here today. And as always, thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend, everyone. We'll see you back here next week on The Inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets.